Okay.
So Danny, help me figure this one out. In the world, maybe they're flying a little bit under the
Book club, end of 2020. Woo! Yes, let's see.
I don't
Come
have
on.
my book.
Uh-oh, wrong page.
Get my Kindle.
I have
So
to
how many
tell
did we read? Like 5?
I think
Speaking of summer, the old chicks.
The old chick. Oh, too
5,
funny.
I think.
5, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, so that means, so who's left to choose? Tasha?
Yeah, I gotta choose.
Okay. I
yeah,
can
the
tell
song?
you.
Unless somebody else has one off the top of their heads that can go ahead.
No, it's your turn. Sorry.
Okay.
Can't see her face.
Oh,
there she is.
So this book.
Okay.
Woo!
Who picked this book? Melissa, right?
Melissa.
Melissa. Let me get a close up.
Yeah.
Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I had to insert my name in this book by the time I got to the end. And I was wiping my face, crying. Why? I did not know. But this book is a nice ending to this year.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was.
It made lemonade. It definitely made lemonade.
Yes.
I was angry with Amazon because I never ordered. I normally go to Barnes and Noble. And I decided to do the Amazon thing like most of you've been doing. And I got my book late. Really. And I was a little discouraged. And I read a little bit. I was like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm on 30 and I got 300 pages. It's not going to happen.
And the beginning is a little slow, right?
It is a little slow. So
yeah.
I said, I got to give me another week. I appreciate everybody giving me another week. Y'all, I look forward to this. But I didn't hear from anybody today. So I'm like, are we still doing it? Are we not? What's happening? So whatever time everybody responded, I picked back up at page 31 and I finished the book.
What? Oh my
goodness.
I couldn't put it down.
No, it's good.
And I needed that. I needed that escape and I needed that kind of confirmation with this book. So Melissa, thank you. All of the books, I can tell you, every last book that we've read has been phenomenal. And I think we're picking the books. We think we're picking them by title, but my honest opinion is that this whole year to me has been very spiritual. Even our connection, to one another, and just the energy that we bring by picking each book. And I looked at the title and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be boring. No, not by a long shot. Very delicious.
Yes.
Excellent pick. Excellent pick, Melissa. So thank you.
I think I think we all tend to judge a book by its cover, right? And so for me, that part of it really resonated with me, where you walk past people in the street and you don't know, right? You don't know what they're going through, but sometimes you're really quick to judge. So it makes you think. It makes you take a minute to just ask yourself, like, when you have those mean thoughts that go through your head, to just take a minute
and get to know someone a little better, not judge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You judge, right? Like,
to me, I think it was like, how you plan and prepare. So she was preparing and planning and reinventing herself for one thing, but that didn't turn out to be, to meet the musician. But I feel like the planning and the preparation helped her grow too, and be able to get past that trauma that she had with her mom. Mm-hmm. Like she was preparing for one thing, but something else came out of it. Like having a friend and being able to have like more true relationships with people. So that I think that,
She broke
Like
out
you-
of her shell.
Huh?
She broke out of her shell. Like,
I know, and to be more social, yeah. And more confident, I think, too, with knowing how to do the makeup and getting the haircut and getting compliments. Like, she was the girl that everybody looked down on at work. And then to get compliments, like to reinvent yourself, like it's possible.
Yeah.
I think for me, it definitely, I was reading this book, I'm like, I know Ingrid has her prescription pad out. You know, it just kind of shows how much our mental really defines who we are and who we are not. I mean, it's all in, I think we've had this conversation before about perception, self-perception, you know, always putting other people's opinions, or just like her mom was pretty much like, she was her being. She, you know, whatever happened in the past, it was so traumatizing that she literally blocked it out. But that still was part of her cloth, regardless of if she blocked it out, if she didn't remember certain things until she, you know, was going through counseling. It just shows how much our mental, our reception of the world plays a part in who we really are. I mean, even her perception of this love affair with this musician, it made her want to be, you know, more of, you know, trying new things like her hair and her clothes and things. It was just like, it wasn't physical, because actually, if I, and I'm trying to remember, I don't even think I remember hearing any type of description. Like, I know she had a scar, you know, the burn, but from what I read, it wasn't that, you know, deforming that it totally like made her ugly. You know, it was something, it was more of her mental scar, her inner scars, her mental scars,
Yeah.
that made her more than her outer scars. So it just kind of showed me how much our mental plays a part in who we really are, and, you know, our day to day, and how sometimes you have to like unravel the spool, and that was her counseling, but you have to unravel the spool to find out who you really are, and then give yourself permission to be who you really are.
Like to move on, because when
Yeah.
that was something when she said, "Oh, that's it," like, "Bye, mom," like that was it.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Close
whoa,
the
mom
door
was
and
dead.
she was gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she had to come to terms with it.
And also, like, your past or whatever you've gone through doesn't really define you, and you can like find a way to reinvent yourself and find new things in life that, you know, you like. I felt like there was a point that she just wasn't living. You know, she wasn't doing anything. She was just sitting
A
in her
routine.
apartment, drinking, and just still staying with that baggage. But then that whole weird conception of this man thing really did help her to come and start living her life.
Yeah.
People to hang out with and talk to and stuff like that. So it was really good. Your past doesn't define you. You have to find a way to move on and reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
It's funny, it was a man that did that. I just found that was her catalyst, but you know. It was just something. I was just like, now, of all the things, it was this, I don't know, it had to be a man that was the catalyst for her to like, let me see what's going out to a club, so when he invites me out, I know how to act, and I know, you know, it was just something. I just found that was, of all things, you know, it was this imaginary relationship she had put in her head.
But you know, the relationship also came from her not knowing her father.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for that father figure of that male touch that she never knew, because the mom said he was a good meat donor or something along those lines. And the mother, of course, was mentally ill. Sounds like she had schizophrenia or whatever the case may have been, and put her through this horrific, you know, traumatic experience where the sister died, and she, you know, got a scar for life physically and mentally. And with that, you know, of course, never having that support, never having that guidance, and then coming from an abusive relationship. So she had repeated trauma, right?
Yeah.
She was in a relationship with a guy, and that was abusive. And it took a professional, a nurse or someone to tell her what to do to get it right, to get him out of the house. And then here we come again with this, as you call it, Tasha, this guy, this male coworker who she stumbled upon, due to her own fantasy of trying to figure out her life and her perception by this gorgeous, whoever this role model was, this fantasy of this man, by a real person who just happened to try to teach her how to use a computer because she's so deficient in so many areas of her life.
Yeah.
But she also knew how to go to a health professional to get painkillers, right? So her use of resources, her mother taught her that, because her mother, it sounds like her mother was institutionalized or would go to hospitals and, these type of things, but she lacked a lot of social skills, which is day-to-day people. And I see it a lot when people have these chronic illnesses and trauma, and they don't have the social skills, like we've all saying, to reach out and to say something to people that they even know, for fear, for lack of trust. And I think, looking at this whole year, we've all, every single person, we've had to let go of trust. Even if we've had insurmountable issues of trust all our life, we've had to say, look, I need help to someone, or I'm not in a good space right now, to probably the least person that we ever expected. And for her, that IT guy was the last person on her list that she even thought would be very instrumental in her life. And it just goes to show, Melissa, what you say, you can never judge a book by its cover, because I truly indeed judged this book by its cover. And I really thought it was going to be a very flat book with not much substance to it, and it was jam-packed. So getting to know each other and to just allow yourself to grow in so many aspects. And I know that we all are in our personal lives, we're transitioning, we're growing, we got the kids, but we cannot forget about our own needs by whatever means that is. And we have to learn how to communicate, because sometimes it's not the person that we feel that should be that person to communicate, such as her mother. Mommy is what she called her. She doesn't have the capacity. It may be in someone that you totally don't even know that could be there to be that solid foundation for you. And again, I thought this was a setup. I'm like, okay, here we go again with another book about trauma or mental illness. I'm like, they really are testing me. They really are testing me. But it seems like that's kind of like with all of the books that we've had, it's some type of, even if it's not the main theme, it's an underlying theme of mental wellness, of recovery of trauma, of recovery of transitioning in life, relationships. And this is, again, what in my book, I set a vision board back in 2019, and be careful with what you ask for. On my vision board for this year, and I prayed about it, I said, the one thing that I want to do, it's not about tangible goods in my life. It's about building relationships with people. It's not about tangible. I want to be closer to my family as far as my intimate connection. I want to be closer with other women in my circle. I want to help, these transitional adults who are lost. I want to help my clients. I want to build those relationships. Well, little did I know that 2020 was all about helping one another and getting help from each other, because we had nothing else to depend on but God and each other. Walking around and allowing a invisible virus to totally destroy our lives. Mm-hmm. We had nothing else but relationships, and which has gotten us to the end of this year. And the one line that I remember in this book is on page 324. At the end, this is what just made me just break down, is what she said, in the end, what matters is this: I survived.
Yeah.
I gave him a very small smile. I survived, Raymond. I said, knowing that I was both lucky and unlucky, and grateful for it. Grateful for the luckiness and the unlucky things. Just gratitude has been like resounding in my life. Regardless of all the things that has taken place, I just have to thank God. And I'm just so happy for each of you. And I'm just happy. So I'm so glad you picked this book. So that's what I got out of the book. That's what I got out of the book.
That it's a learning process. Like life is a learning process, right? Even when you think you know it all. There's more to learn. There's more to
You
do.
never,
There's more
yeah,
growth that
right.
has to happen. Yep.
I was speaking to my cousin. She's about probably 10 years older than I am. And she's gone through, you know, transitioning in her life. And she's going actually on a solo vacation in the next couple of days. And so we were just talking about how now where she lives, the circle of females or the people that she's had to kind of rebuild her life because she's lost, you know, relationships, intimate relationships, and it's just basically her. And we were talking about transitioning and how in life, it doesn't matter what age, when you go through a transition, you need other people. You need to kind of look at the resources that you have and then look at what you need. And a lot of times you're not able to identify this stuff. And you have to tap into yourself and just take time away from everything and just introspectively look at your capacity and what your needs are, and then reevaluate where you are and what you need, right? So she's going on this trip, and what I spoke to her about is that she's looking to, I guess, kind of revamp her life. And I said, this will be an excellent time because you're going by yourself. So, and I commend you because a lot of people won't travel by themselves. I don't mind traveling by myself. I hit the road and be in another country in 5 minutes if I could and just be hanging out and figuring it out. But a lot of people don't have the tenacity to do that. But she's doing it, and I commend her for doing it because she sacrificed a lot of her life, you know, to her children, to, you know, her husband, to her family. And now everyone is up, grown, or they're no longer, you know, alive. And now she got to figure her life out. She got married at a very young age, so had kids. So she lost herself completely along the way. And now she's trying to rebuild. And, you know, I just think about, you know, what you just said, Alka, just about, you know, needing each other and thinking that you know enough. When you begin to and you think that you know it all, that's when you just the dumbest.
Yeah.
You miss out on life. And one thing for me, every day is a learning process, and we can learn from anyone. I learned so much from my son, particularly when it comes to technology and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. And you know what I say, Ingrid? I'm like, because I have some younger friends, like at work and stuff, and just like through the kids, people who are like 10 years younger than you, and you can't write them off because the mentality and how they think and what they're doing is so different. Like just that 10-year difference, but the way they see things,
Absolutely.
the way they think, so different than the way, you know, that maybe I in my late 40s think, you know?
Absolutely. And
so there is learning, from everyone. You're right.
And I know probably all of us, but I can just say particularly for Tasha and Cassandra, just being in healthcare, you know, when you're in the hospital, there's different tiers of people. And I can tell you, I have learned the most from people who are the janitors, the nursing assistants, not so much my colleagues and the doctors. I hadn't learned much. It hadn't been in a textbook, but just learning systems. I've learned the most from the nurses, the nursing assistants, the janitors, the food service department. Those have been the people who have really been instrumental in my life, to be quite honest. So again, you cannot rule people out. You cannot judge people by a cover how they look. You will be missing out on life. You will definitely miss out on life. So that's what I got to from this book.
So I have a question. Do you guys think that she ends up like they just stay friends, or do you think that they end up like, you know, becoming more than friends?
Yeah.
I think they just kept a platonic relationship.
I think it'll grow though.
Yeah.
I think it'll grow. I mean, he took her to mom, and they weren't even anything.
And then this other girl wasn't his speed. She was high maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he was low key. Eleanor, he took care of her. I mean, he's the reason why at the end of the book, she is who she is, or coming to be, rather.
Tara, where'd she go? She left us?
Uh-oh.
She must.
Oh, yeah, where'd she go?
Ultra-capacity 5G to bring speeds as fast as Wi-Fi to cities and towns across America. And we're adding more every week. Coverage and
Just saying 6 participants.
Said they're muted. Sid says she's muted.
Sid's muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
But there's just 6 of us now
Yeah.
instead of 7.
Oh, she said
Yeah.
Sarah too, so maybe she.
There we go. Yeah, Tara mute herself and then she couldn't unmute, so she left. The same thing.
Okay.
There she go.
Where you went, woman?
Oh, there she is. Sorry, I had to go yell at Bryce.
I'm not muting people.
No,
when
yeah,
we're
Here.
ourselves. We're unable to unmute ourselves.
Oh. What?
What Bryce did.
Nothing. He needs to study.
I muted myself because I had people coming in after I told him nobody come in. So I had to mute and say, don't come in. Hello, remember
That's why
that?
you look so cozy.
Because I forgot to wear my sweater, so I just threw this one on top.
It looks cozy. It looks
The
cozy.
penguin.
So, okay, so y'all think that Eleanor got with Raymond?
I think so.
I would hope so.
In my
He
mind, they
accepted
did.
her the way she was. He offered her friendship, nothing in exchange. Just, you know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
just
would
think they just remain good friends. Like I didn't see
too.
anything
I
like
agree.
no intimacy, like, but
But she was noticing, like, when he had got a haircut and what he was wearing. And the day he was wearing leather shoes. Like, why is she checking him out, you know?
I'll give them like 2 months before something starts.
the
Well-
60-day rule.
Oh,
So-
more lunches.
No, she
a
started
few
having feelings for him.
night outings. Yeah.
Well, if she was my client, given all that she's gone through and she's in counseling, I would highly want her to evaluate working on herself before she enters into another relationship, whether it's real fantasy, you know, given that, you know, issue of detachment from her mom and not knowing her father, and then the abusive relationship, that is fantasy relationship that she entered into that was not real, that disappointed her. She's going to take all of that baggage went to innocent Raymond, who still lives at home with his mother, who's like the computer geek that plays video games, right? And like she, you know, at the end, he had to question her, like, hey, did you get the email? I want you to go out. And she's like, yeah, I got it, but I'm doing me. I got this to do this week, that, because she is focused on her. And so that's what makes me believe that it, as you know, Tara and Tasha may have said, I kind of agree that it may not have ended in a romantic relationship, but sometimes romantic relationships evolve from a platonic relationship. So I just think immediately at the end of the book, there was no romantic relationship. Probably will remain platonic, but I do see her setting boundaries. And that's so important in trauma, is to be able to set those boundaries and to distinguish real from fiction. Even with her mother, she set that boundary and she was like, I can't do it anymore. You told me to go forward with this project. I trust you, Mom. Even though you're mentally ill and you tried to kill me, I still trust you. I trusted you to go forward with this, and now I have to cut you off and set the boundaries because I have to work on me. So she's definitely was boundary setting at the end of the book. So who's gonna pray?
Tasha. Go ahead, Tasha.
Dear Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, we